And there's provision in the Constitution for us to be doing exactly what we're doing, which is to keep drilling and try to find this.
Now, one more question. I'm a little fiery this morning, Patrick. I'm sorry. What does he have to lose in signing this paper? What does he have to lose?
That's what he repeatedly said. And guys like the legal staff and others, I happen to like Mark Meadows. I was probably too harsh on him in a tweet. He's a nice guy. He's not a venal guy. I'm not sure he's a strong guy. But these other guys were venal. They are deceptive. They are tricking their client, the president. I saw it. They're bad guys. Mark Meadows isn't a bad guy, but I think he's probably also in the motive. His life gets a lot easier if he just lets this play out and Trump gone. His life is a lot easier than if he doesn't.
It does. He thinks it gets easier. It doesn't at the end of the day.
No, but they're all getting job offers and lobbyists and stuff. They'll make millions. If they can just ease Trump out, they will be rewarded with millions. And they know it. And they know that if they fight this, those job offers go away. Yeah, so what would happen? He has nothing to lose, and he said that a couple times. I'm not going to say too much of what the president said. He said basically, what have you done? What have you done about anything? What have you done about the Durham report? What have you done about, he really gave them a tongue lashing only after they were incredibly rude. They went from shouting at me and Flynn, and there was a point and Sidney, and Flynn stood on his feet, but he was very calm and measured and professional like a general was. But I'll tell you, Flynn turned to these three lawyers and said, because they were so defeatist and so just bananas, Flynn finally got to his feet. They were all on their feet. And he took to his feet and he said, but very gentlemanly, he said, I just want to ask you one question. Do you think the president won? Can you say you think the president won? And they all sort of looked at their toes and looked around, and nobody would answer the question. Even Mark Meadows would not answer the question.
You're kidding me.
Would not answer the question. And, where he was going was, well, if you thought he won, if you agree he won, then what are we doing to make sure the election doesn't get stolen? And not a single one of them would answer the question. Not the lawyers. Mark Meadows was on the phone, so I shouldn't group him with that. But the other three people, he was on that phone for that part of the meeting. The three lawyers there looked at their toes, hemmed and hawed, looked for some answer that, looked to each other to get. It was disgusting.
So President Trump knows that he doesn't have anything to lose. President Trump needs to know that the American people out here, of which there are many, need him to sign the damn piece of paper or do what he needs to do to keep fighting and screw these people. There's literally nothing left to lose by doing this. Nothing.
I told him, I said, put us in, coach. Put us in. He finally said after about 20 minutes, he turned to me, and I'd been trying to keep my tongue, but when those lawyers stood up and were acting that way, and then Flynn stood up and they were aggression. That's when I stood up shoulder to shoulder with Flynn, literally, not metaphorically. And I was ready. I had a bitch slap ready if that lawyer leaned his face 1 inch further forward on us, was any more aggressive. And and I'm not being metaphoric. I had it prepared and was ready to throw it. I was furious at these guys, and they needed it. They would not answer that question. They would not answer that question that all of your listeners, everybody with a room temperature IQ can see that it should have at least deep questions, misgivings about what happened on November 3rd. None of them would even answer that question. That's what Trump is surrounded by. And he turned several times, said, you see what you got to put up with? And I said, sir, it is surreal. The CEO to CEO, what I'm seeing here is surreal. You are being poor. And at one point, his lawyers started shouting at him, started shouting at the president. That's when I should have decked them. They were standing and shouting at him. They are desk pukes.
You know what they are? They're desperate to keep him from doing what he knows needs to be done. They're desperate. That's why they're reacting that way.
Flynn and I and Sydney after 30 minutes. And by the way, Sydney at one point got up on her feet and gave them a tongue lashing. After half hour of rationalizations and mealy-mouthed bullshit, it became completely clear that what you just said is true. They are desperate to get Trump to just – at one point I said, and right in front of them, I said, sir, just so you know, It is, I've been swimming on the outskirts of your administration here in town for a couple months. I've met a lot of people who work here. They are telling me that they are getting the message from these people, that they are getting the message from their leadership to just get the president to concede. And that's the only time the president was, I'd say, startled and not lost his composure, but he said, who's saying that? And I said, there's this guy, Pat Cipollone. I keep hearing his name. He's the guy telling everyone to. The president looked at the guy standing 2 steps back from me, and I said, are you Pat Cipollone? Yeah, well, that's okay. This is the guy. And then Pat Cipollone said, he didn't even deny it. He gave this sort of mealy-mouthed, well, I don't even know what he said. And I said, Mr. President, this guy's lying through his teeth. He's lying through his teeth to you. I can get 3 people up here right now who can tell you, in half an hour, I get 3 people into the White House who can tell you they are getting told by this leadership, just get the president to concede. So that is who Donald Trump is relying on. He's relying on people who are lying to him and who secretly want him to get out the door so they can go to their $2 million salary. I hope he fucking fires them all. Pardon me.
Well, that was my next question.
Said you should. We all said to him right in front of them. We said you should fire these guys right now. Make Sidney in charge. Put Flynn. I said put Flynn's your general. Make Flynn. He's the people's general. Make him your guy, your field marshal to run this, and you will be in on January 20th. You will be in, and have Sidney Powell be your White House general counsel, and you will win this battle. If you stick with these people you have on this side of me, you're not going to win this. So you can see they want you to lose. They absolutely want you to lose. And the president was, well, I don't want to say too much of what he said, but none of this was falling on deaf ears. If anything, he was saying, basically, do you see what I put up with for 4 years? And my heart broke for the guy. I've never, that I did not vote for the president, and I've been clear, and he understands that. But he's very gentlemanly about it. He's very gentlemanly, and that became clear between us. And he knew that, but I told him I may have been wrong. My estimation of him has gone up and up and up. And certainly what he's had to deal with became clear to me. This meeting went on for 4.5 hours, both in the Oval Office and in the cabinet room and in the residence. In those 4.5 hours, I got a very complete picture of what Donald Trump's been dealing with for 4 years, and I find it amazing he got done as much as he did. Mm-hmm. Because his own senior staff is disloyal, starting with the 8 goons that Chris Christie tried to bring in, who all turned out 4 years later to be signing letters against voting for Donald Trump, right up to the senior legal staff. Now, Mark Meadows, I do not mean to group like that. He seems to me more of a go-along guy, and he's going to go along with the easiest path. He's not fighting one way or the other. But these lawyers are absolutely fighting against the president. And Sidney Powell was there and able to easily knock down whatever legal arguments they had. They don't have legal arguments.
Yeah, because they're lying to him about what he can and can't do. They're lying to him about what he can and can't do. And listen, at the end of the day, did he fire Cipollone like you said on Twitter last night?
I don't know. That was just a rumor I heard on the grounds of the White House. So I don't know if he fired him or not. But he absolutely should have. He should have fired him right there.
I mean, I can't wait to see if that pans out to be true, because that guy's a danger. He's a danger. You're leaking to Maggie Haberman in the New York Times, and you're leaking BS.
Leaking BS. It's absolute bullshit that anything was said about using the military in that entire 4.5 hours in the office. The only thing that's ever come out of Flynn's mouth, offhand remark he said on Newsmax on Friday afternoon, which you can look up, which just said, we got to stay within the Constitution. We got to look at alternatives. Maybe we could do this. Maybe we could do that. Maybe we rerun an election. Rerunning an election there's lots of historical precedents for rerunning elections.